Good evening, gentlemen. A little late with this. I've been rather busy this week moving into my new abode. About 15 minutes from the University of Houston. Getting a little more comfortable. We'll have DirecTV set up in the next couple of weeks. But let's get started, shall we? On to my disappointments of last week. There were only a couple. DDD for one. Huge disappointment. Expected you to destroy Chicago Chalupas. You disappointed me, bruh. It's okay. You're still in the playoff hunt, but major disappointment last week with Chicago Chalupas. Second, last year's champion, this year's chump. Huge disappointment. You let Lazy Pugs, who was on a skid that was larger than half of the first graders athletic program, the skid was just huge, and you let him come back and beat you, effectively knocking you out of the playoff race indefinitely. Those that have 6 wins have a small chance of winning. I really didn't do the calculations. Forgive me. I didn't feel like doing the math. Like I said, I've been a little busy. But with that being said, let's move on to my fantasy dud and fantasy stud. Now, if I have to be frank, I don't know if Pokai Panthers just wants to donate money. I mean, if he's just throwing money away, my address, I can shoot it to you, bro. You can just shoot that in the form of a check, or, I can give you my routing number and you can just deposit this money in my account. But I expected you. This is your second year. It's not like you're a newbie to this. You know how rough this gets. You need to shape up. 57 points? Jesus Christ, Big Ben almost had more points than your whole team. Thank you, Big Ben. You're a monster. Second, fantasy stud. Wow. Johnny Clipboard 1 went in there and kept his playoff hopes alive. The man scored 191 points. There's no coincidence that he has Antonio Brown, the compliment to my boy Big Ben Roethlisberger. Johnny Clipboard 1, fantasy studding it up. Now, let's get to the Week 10 predictions. Unfortunately, I don't have any TV, so I won't be able to watch this shitty game for the Bengals and the Browns. It's okay. Guess I'll just do some homework or maybe play some Destiny. I don't know. But either way, let's get down to my picks of the week. Let's start us off with Chicago Chalupas and Lazy Pugs. Now, divisional matchup, Lazy Pugs is all but out of it. But if he wants to even have a shot of making a wild card berth, it starts with knocking off the Chicago Chalupas. Does he have the firepower to knock off the red hot Chicago Chalupas at 6-3? I'm not sure. But I had to go with my gut and say that Chicago Chalupas should get the victory. Lazy Pugs has just been too up and down this season. Up and down more than a hooker in Las Vegas. Just a bobbing and a weaving. So I can't pick Lazy Pugs. Chicago Chalupas riding me, trying to get my first place in the East bid. You're not getting it, bruh. Wait till last week of the fantasy season, and I'll show you why you can't touch me, bruh. I hope you have AP. I hope you get 3 guys on your team that like to beat their kids and wives and try to beat me, Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know which one to play. But don't worry. And my running backs are getting better and better each week. I'm going to show you why I'm the beast in the East, Chicago Chalupas. Moving on to Kiss the Hernandez and Like It versus Discount Double Check Yourself. Now, This is a matchup for the ages. Kister Hernandez and Likett needs a lot of help to even think about a playoff berth. However, it starts with this game. He can't lose anymore. 6-6 is the best you can hope for to try to catch this wild card. Now, from Kister Hernandez himself, and I quote, "My team is literally falling apart as the season progresses. I hate that I even have to start 90% of the players that I have starting against you. Laugh out loud. This is going to be ugly." End quote. Now, he's absolutely right. There's no chance for him having to beat me. I'm going to come in there and put my boot on his throat as Andy Dalton struggles against the Cleveland Browns tonight. I expect Bishop Sankey to not even get 50 yards against Baltimore. Terrence West should have a good day, but the rest of his team is hardly worth mentioning. Randall Cobb is coming off a bye week, should have a big game. Mohamed Sanu, still a focal point in that offense, regardless of A.J. Green's back in the lineup. And D'Angelo Williams getting his strength back. Had a pretty decent game. I expect more production on Monday night against Philly. Discount double, check yourself for the victory. Moving on to who should I go with next? I'm going to go with Polk Eye Panthers versus Classy Strippers. We'll keep it in the East and finish that up. Who do I think should win this matchup? I don't know. Like I said, Classy Strippers has been on a dive. But Polk Eye Panthers is literally the worst team I've seen in quite a while. He's probably going, if it wasn't for Don't Touch Me there, I'd say he'd be the worst team in the league. I don't know if he's going to set his lineup. This looks like another easy victory for Classy Strippers. And for him to keep in contention with the wild card, he needs this victory, and he needs it bad, as the last couple of games of his season will probably determine whether or not this individual goes to the playoffs. Classy Strippers for the win. Next, we go to Johnny Clipboard 1 and Payday. Reigning fantasy stud versus Payday, who's received the fantasy dud more times than I can count. Who's going to win this matchup? Of course, it's Johnny Clipboard. Now, Payday wants to say he was on vacation in the Philippines. No internet access. I've been in the Philippines. You do what you got to do, boy. You can't just use the Philippines as an excuse. That's pathetic. Set your lineup and be a contender in this league. You got guys out there calling for your head, saying that you shouldn't even be a part of this league anymore. You got Drew Brees. You got Marshawn Lynch. You got a great team. Don't make us have to replace you, boy. Be a contender. Can you make the playoffs this year? It's probably a possibility. But if you don't beat Johnny Clipboard 1 this week, you can kiss all those playoff hopes goodbye, and your payday turns into the form of a welfare check, and with all these Republicans in office, you can count that going bye-bye. Now, moving on to former champion Don't Touch Me There versus 42. 42 has had a Jackie Robinson-like season, with the exception of being successful, that is. He's just been pounded away like a security guard in an all-male prison who just is too small to defend himself, just getting pounded away by Black Panthers and neo-Nazis alike. Now, what can he do to possibly get this victory? There's nothing he should have to do. He's playing literally the worst team in the league. Don't Touch Me There is awful. Absolutely awful. And I don't know if it's his players that hate him, because he's got a really good squad. I mean, last year, all of these individuals performed fairly well. And Michael Crabtree was supposed to have a breakout season this year, but it seems like Colin Kaepernick just wants to use his legs. Well, either way, I'm giving the nod to 42. I have a feeling that Don't Touch Me There may lose the rest of his games just to put a exclamation point off his championship season to his now Dudleyest season. Get ready for the Sacco, Don't Touch Me There. Or should I say, Raffy Bomb! Moving on. Designated Drunk Drivers versus Flawless Victory. Now, Flawless Victory may have started off 0-2, seemed like everything was going to go the route that it did last year, but that man, Flawless Victory, has won an impressive 7 games in a row to be 7-2, and he's first on the power rankings 2 weeks in a row. He's going up against the Designated Drunk Drivers, who took a pretty bad beating at the hands of Chicago Chalupas. Now, both of these teams could use this victory. One, Flawless Victory could separate himself, guaranteeing a playoff berth, regardless if it's in his division or as a wild card. A win would damn near guarantee Flawless Victory's admittance. Now, Designated Drunk Drivers, as he has lost that last week, coming up against the arduous 3-week period where if he loses the rest of these 3 games, could boot him out of the playoffs. Now, unfortunately, Designated Drunk Drivers had paid $31 for Mike Evans. Now, I'm looking to get a vote out. That's what the poll will be. Should Designated Drunk Drivers be allowed to get his free agency bid back? Because he claims that the 1 was already there. He put a 3 in there. It made it a $31 bid for Mike Evans, who had a pretty outbreak week last week. As commissioner, I think it was an honest mistake. I agree that Designated Drunk Drivers made an honest mistake. Unfortunately, it went through, it processed, and I'm not sure if I can reverse it. I'm not sure if I can even give him his $31 back, but I'm going to see if I can. But first, I'm going to put a poll up, and majority will win this. If the majority of the league thinks that it was an honest mistake, he must drop Mike Evans to get his $31 back, and I'll do everything in my commissioner powers to try to do so. So, I apologize, DDD. I couldn't just make this decision willy-nilly. I had to consult the league via this post. So, I'm going to put it up, and hopefully in time, but I'm not sure how this is going to play out. And you've had a great season. I'd hate to see it end in an honest mistake. But I'm giving this victory to DDD. I think he should get this win. He's got a lot of young talent. And Peyton Manning, it'd be hard to root against him. I do believe Flawless Victory's Colts have a bye week. And if you're going to win any game, it's got to be with T.Y. Hilton out and Andrew Luck out. Good luck, DDD, and we'll see how this vote pans out. I'd like everybody to put their biases aside and then think about if this were to happen to you, how would you want the league to handle it? So I'm going to put the poll up. Hopefully it goes well. I think DDD wins this week regardless of how that pans out. Now, I'm asking the league to really dig deep and make an honest decision on whether or not they believe he should be allowed to drop Mike Evans, and if I can give him his $31 back, if that is even possible. BD, hit me up and let me know if you know if this should be right as my treasurer and co-commissioner, and see if we can even tag team and see if it's even possible to do. That's it. Good night to all of you gentlemen who were able to watch the game. Screw you all. I'll be able to watch with DirecTV here in a couple weeks. But those are my picks. Like it or love it. Holla.